The Big Bang Theory, Episode Recap, Part 1. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're looking at one of the funniest episodes of The Big Bang Theory, where science and comedy come together in a hilarious way. The episode begins with Amy noticing something unusual about Sheldon. She believes he has an unhealthy obsession with closure. According to Amy, Sheldon simply cannot tolerate unfinished tasks, incomplete stories, or unanswered questions. When she brings this up, Sheldon immediately denies it. He insists that he doesn't have any problem at all and claims that he simply enjoys order and logic. Amy, however, isn't convinced. As a neuroscientist, she decides to test her theory through a simple experiment. She invites Sheldon to play a game of tic-tac-toe. Sheldon laughs at the idea, believing the game is far too easy for someone as intelligent as he is. Confidently, he starts playing and quickly gains the upper hand. Within just a few moves, he's about to win. But just before the final move, Amy suddenly gets up and walks away, leaving the game unfinished. At first, Sheldon pretends that it doesn't bother him. He says the unfinished game means nothing and insists he has no issue with closure. But as the day continues, he can't stop thinking about the board. Every few minutes, his mind drifts back to the game he never got to finish. Amy notices exactly what she expected. The unfinished game is driving Sheldon crazy, even though he refuses to admit it. She continues her experiment by leaving other things unfinished. She starts singing the national anthem, but intentionally stops before the last word. She begins packing a box, but leaves it open. She starts conversations without finishing them. For most people, these things would be easy to ignore. For Sheldon, they're unbearable. Eventually, his frustration reaches its limit. He finally admits that every unfinished task feels like torture. Amy explains that her goal is to retrain his brain so that incomplete situations no longer cause him so much stress. Although Sheldon dislikes the experiment, he slowly begins to understand what Amy is trying to do. By the end of the evening, Sheldon thanks Amy for helping him. It seems like the experiment has actually worked. However, in classic Sheldon fashion, he decides to get the last laugh. While complimenting Amy, he suddenly stops speaking in the middle of his sentence, leaving her waiting for the ending. This time, Amy becomes the one desperate for closure, while Sheldon smiles, proving that he has learned something from the experiment and found a clever way to turn it back on her. Meanwhile, Leonard accidentally creates problems of his own after realizing that Penny always tries to comfort him whenever he talks about his difficult childhood. Before long, this small habit leads to one of the funniest surprises of the entire episode. Meanwhile, Leonard finds himself in an embarrassing situation. He has been telling Penny stories about his painful childhood and his complicated relationship with his mother, Beverly Hofstadter. Every time Leonard talks about his past, Penny feels sorry for him and tries to cheer him up. Soon, Leonard realizes that this sympathy comes with extra attention, and he starts taking advantage of it. Bernadette quickly notices what's happening. She secretly contacts Beverly and tells her that Leonard has been using his childhood stories to emotionally manipulate Penny. Later, Leonard expects another romantic surprise from Penny. Instead, the front door opens, and standing there is the last person he wants to see, his mother. Without wasting a second, Beverly confronts Leonard in front of everyone. She calmly explains that she knows exactly what he's been doing. Leonard's plan completely backfires, and instead of receiving sympathy, he becomes the center of everyone's laughter. Beverly even brings up an embarrassing childhood memory, reminding Leonard of the time he accidentally walked in on his parents during an awkward moment. While Leonard desperately wants the conversation to end, Beverly discusses the memory as if she's giving a scientific lecture. Penny can't stop laughing, and Leonard realizes he has made a terrible mistake. Elsewhere, Bernadette reads an interesting scientific study claiming that pregnancy can increase a mother's ability to understand other people's emotions. Curious about whether it's true, the group decides to test her. One by one, Bernadette accurately guesses what everyone is feeling. Her observations are surprisingly accurate, leaving the others amazed. Even Sheldon becomes the target of jokes as everyone laughs at how difficult it would be to improve his emotional intelligence. At the university, Amy and Howard are working together on a neuroscience project. Unfortunately, they argue about almost everything. Every small discussion turns into a debate, and it seems impossible for them to work peacefully. Then they notice something unexpected. Every time they argue, they somehow solve another difficult problem. They begin wondering whether the stress of arguing actually helps them think more clearly. Instead of avoiding conflict, they decide to keep challenging each other's ideas. Surprisingly, their unusual approach starts producing real scientific progress. What seemed like constant fighting may actually be helping them discover something important. Back at the apartment, Sheldon comes up with another strange experiment. This time he wants to know whether his friends can keep a secret. He invents a ridiculous story and tells Leonard that he's having an affair with the cafeteria lady. Sheldon makes Leonard promise not to tell anyone. Leonard believes the story is obviously fake, but he still wants to pass Sheldon's test. Unfortunately, the fake rumor spreads through the group almost immediately. Before long, everyone is talking about Sheldon and the cafeteria lady, proving that secrets rarely stay secret for long. Sheldon isn't surprised at all. In fact, he expected exactly this outcome, and his little experiment works perfectly. Soon after, Sheldon begins another experiment, this time involving chocolates. Every time Penny does something that Sheldon approves of, he quietly rewards her with a piece of chocolate. He believes he's using positive reinforcement to improve her behavior, just like a scientist training a laboratory subject. At first, Penny doesn't notice what's happening, but after receiving several chocolates for different actions, she quickly figures out Sheldon's plan. Leonard immediately tells Sheldon to stop treating his girlfriend like a lab rat. Sheldon argues that his method is completely scientific and harmless, but Leonard firmly refuses to let him continue. Meanwhile, Amy starts spending more time working with Howard at the university. Sheldon begins feeling lonely and frustrated because Amy is rarely home. Instead of becoming angry, Amy uses techniques she learned from Bernadette's parenting book to calm Sheldon down. She listens to his feelings, validates his emotions, and gently helps him relax. The strategy works surprisingly well, leaving everyone shocked at how easily Amy handles him. The episode ends with several misunderstandings, clever scientific jokes, and plenty of laughter. Despite all the experiments, tricks, and arguments, every character learns something about themselves and each other. Sheldon discovers that even a genius can grow emotionally. Leonard realizes that honesty is better than seeking sympathy. Amy proves that patience and psychology can sometimes succeed where logic fails. In the end, the episode perfectly combines science, relationships, and comedy, reminding us why The Big Bang Theory remains one of the most entertaining sitcoms ever made. Every storyline delivers memorable jokes, while also showing how each character continues to grow in unexpected ways. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you in the next